Okay, here we are. Let's do this. So a few days ago, a week ago, I started a video. I actually created it and just didn't run it to talk about the supply chain issues that we can expect to have happen to us now that there's this war going on in Ukraine and the refugees are flowing out of Ukraine into Europe, and financial systems are probably in ruins, and Europe's trying to decide if they're going to cut themselves voluntarily off of Russian gas and oil. And Russia's probably wondering if they're going to have to involuntarily cut Europe off of gas and oil in order to punish them for supporting Ukraine. And as I thought about how I'm going to write about supply chains and the Ukraine issue and all this, I just got to a point where I just sort of went, oh, right. And I was done. I'm done. I was reminded later of a scene in the movie. I think it's currently on Netflix, Netflix exclusive, called Don't Look Up. Many of you probably have seen it. If you haven't, I would recommend it. If you feel like it's it's about communism, or it's anti-American, or it's anti-white people, or it's anti-Fox News, and so therefore you're not going to watch it. Set that all aside and just watch it. Just do it, because you're living it right now. You're living it. I watched it. I'm a climate scientist. I'm a scientist. I'm a biologist. I watched it, and I came away just broken. One of the reasons I did this series on the Age of Chaos is because that movie just broke me. It just broke me completely. And when I was deciding not to do that video on supply chains, and I had this moment like, oh, wow, okay, wait a second. It reminded me of a scene in that movie. It's really early in the movie, like the first 5 minutes, maybe the first 3 minutes of the movie. The scientists have discovered the comet. They're all excited. A new comet is going to... Someone gets to name a comet. They get to announce the comet to the world. Everyone's going to get excited about astronomy, and they're going to rush to the news media to look at the new comet. So they have to figure out, okay, when is going to be the closest approach to Earth? What part of the sky will it be in? How big will it be? When will it be visible? When will it be closest to Earth? What date will it be closest to Earth? And so the physicists are all gathered around, and then they're doing the calculations on the whiteboard, and they're so excited. And they're going to get the answer to all these really neat questions about the public relations for the comet. And as they're doing the numbers, and the people who are watching the movie won't understand any of this. I understand it, but people watching the movie won't understand any of this. But they will understand something that one of the scientists says, and say, Dr. Mindy, why are the numbers getting smaller? And he's writing the numbers. He ignores the question. He's running the numbers. And finally, as he's running the numbers, doing the calculations, he gets to a 0. And he stops. And the other physicists in the room can't see him because he's close to the whiteboard. He's kind of nerdly and kind of geekily leaning into the numbers and writing the numbers. He's all excited, and he's having a nerdgasm. And he's writing them as he writes a 0. And Dr. Mindy is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, who I didn't know much about as an actor, but his portrayal of Dr. Mindy was pretty amazing. And that one moment right there was probably one of the best acted moments I've ever seen in cinema. He just stops. He doesn't say anything like, oh my God, or look at this, we're all going to die. He doesn't say anything. He just stops. And he's looking at the whiteboard, and he's like, and you know what he's doing. I know what he's doing. I know what he's doing. He's running the numbers again in his head. Wait, this, wait, 0, this, 0, 0. Why is it 0? It's 0. And he's thinking this in his head. And he goes, oh, wait. And then he erases it with his hand. And then he has a story. Guys, I don't know about this. Don't think we can do this tonight. Let's go home. We'll look at it again tomorrow. In reality, he stays up all night with one of the other astronomers. And they go over the numbers all night. They go over the numbers. They keep coming up with 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And by morning, after being up all night, coming up with 0, they've lost their minds. Because 0 is the distance between the comet and the Earth. And they're going, oh, that's the oh moment. Oh. And what's flashing through your mind is that, oh, it's done. We're done. So I was, doing these mental calculations in my head about the impact of all this Ukraine bullshit. And I had my oh moment. Oh. So I'm done. There's nothing more to talk about. I'm done. You're done. You don't know that. I know that. The age of chaos is not a metaphor. It's not in the future. And it's not fiction. It's here. It's now. It's present. It's going to last hundreds of years. We are in the early days, but it's going to last hundreds of years. And it has arrived. And everything we think was eternal and lasting is done. And everything that we thought would survive for 1,000 years is done. And things we didn't even know we were reliant on, or that we thought were awesome, or that we would celebrate if we knew how great they were, they're also done. So there's no need to talk about this anymore. It's done. I thought it was in the future. I thought maybe we had some time. We could have an adult conversation about how to have a controlled demolition. Well, we're not doing a controlled demolition. We're just going to be demolished. We're going over the cliff. It has a name. It's called the Seneca Cliff. Hugo Bardi, I think, actually coined the term, but it was Seneca, the old Roman, who made the first observation that, yes, it's a nice, long, straight trajectory in development, and then you crash overnight. So I'm done. Now, I've been thinking about what else I could do, what else I could talk about. I kind of talk about something that's a little more practical. If we're looking at the end of the world, maybe that's a practical thing to talk about. Now it's not, because now it's going to happen. So we don't have to talk about that anymore. Sorry. If you came here to get your doom porn and to, walk away grimly determined that you understand the truth, well, okay, that you've had your dose of truth. That's all you're going to get from me. I'm not going to feed your addiction. Good luck. Go to some other channel. Guy McPherson will talk to you all day. Okay? I'm just not going to talk about this anymore. However, I've known about this for a while, and I am daily crafting a solution to my personal problem, and I'm willing to share that. I am willing to share that. It's a process that I'm going through of making decisions about how I want to position myself and my family, and maybe my extended family, and people I meet along the way who I would like to preserve and give some hope to. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm an engineer, I'm a biologist, I'm a scientist. I can reason away. I don't think anybody else can. I don't expect them to. Right now, as we speak, people are running around, driving up and down the street in front of my house, I'm sure, trying to find the cheapest gas. That's not reasoning away. And if you walk away from this video and you say, well, that was fun, and the first thing you can think about is, well, I need to jump in my car and go fill my truck up. It's going to take me an hour to find the cheapest gas. Then you're already lost. And if the thing that bothers you the most right now is that Joe Biden didn't do anything to keep the cost of gas from going up, then you're lost. I can't reach you. There's no need to try. And I'm not going to. That was never the point of this. The point of this was just me reasoning through it to try and find a way, sharing my process. And now, as of, a few days ago, I'm done. There is no way forward. There is no reasoning a way forward. Oh, there's a way forward, all right. It's called the Uncontrolled Demolition, and we're all going there. As of a few days ago, in my opinion, we're all going there. So have a nice ride. It'll be nice for some part of it, and then it's going to be a nightmare. And you're just going to have to figure out how you're going to do that. I will probably continue to discuss what I am doing about that. If that does you any good, fine. If you can glean an example from any of that, fine. If you can find motivation to build your own lifeboat as this Titanic is sinking, do it by all means. It might make a difference to you or someone you're with, or some people in the future might be happy you did that. Don't know. It can't be known. These things cannot be known. Just as with real Titanic, when people piled themselves into the lifeboats and lowered the lifeboats down into the dark, icy, cold waters of the North Atlantic, they had no idea if any of them would survive, or if they personally would survive. And, we're at that point. That's our point. We are now at that point. We are not at the point of discussing, oh, the world's going to end, doom and gloom. No, it's done. Now it's done. Everything you thought was immortal and permanent, and whatever else you thought about it, right and free and everything else, and democratic and conservative, or whatever you thought, is done. Now we'll see what happens. I might come back to comment on politics or economics once in a while, but it kind of doesn't matter. Talking about systems that are doomed, that cannot go forward. I actually made another channel. I might fire that up, so I'll mention it here for this other project I'm doing called Building the Earth Ark. And so I'll explain that right now. An Earth Ark is, well, it's like Noah's Ark, I guess. Noah's Ark was not really a sailing craft. It had no destination. It didn't have a rudder or an anchor or sails or anything. It wasn't going anywhere. There wasn't going to be a port. And they had no idea, in the story anyway, what was going to happen to them and their animals in their ark. But they built their ark and they floated away. Now, my ark is an Earth Ark. There's not going to be a flood, although actually there might be floods, so I should say that. But that's not the point of this ark. This ark is an Earth Ark. It is on the ground, and that's where it's going to stay. I don't live out in the middle of 40 acres. I live right here in Midtown San Jose. I'm surrounded by, literally 20 miles in all directions. I'm in the middle of an urban core. And the Bay Area in general is one of the biggest metropolitan areas on the planet. Geographically, it's just circles this gigantic body of water called the San Francisco Bay, and then it's huge even beyond the edges of the bay. So this is a huge area that I have settled in, and I'm going to build my Earth Ark here. I'm really counting on this place becoming extremely attractive for people to live here. I'm counting on there being even more security measures put in place than there are already. I'm counting on there being a lot more money, a lot more rich people seeking security and securing their future here. I really expect that. I do expect my little property, that I paid $400,000 for, to be worth $4 million in the next few years. I totally expect that. And I'm not going anywhere, because where are you going to go? With that kind of money coming in and voting, essentially voting with their money, why would you disagree with them? I'm not going anywhere. I'm digging in, literally digging in. I'm going to try and put as much of my infrastructure underground as possible. I don't have a big lot. Well, it's not small, but I am jealous of the ground. Okay, the ground level. I'm jealous of the ground level, and I'm building small homes for my family, like bedrooms, but slightly bigger. I'm installing lots of air conditioning and heating against the expected ravages of climate swings. I'm putting in an underground, probably several underground cisterns to collect rainwater and any town water that I don't use, but we're getting allotments. So if I use part of my allotment, but I don't use the rest, then I'll just stick it in the cistern. I was entitled to it. I intend to keep it. So solar, off-grid solar, maybe some wind turbines, just, for complete coverage. Gardening. I replaced part of my roof on my house. The roof was falling in. It's very old. It's probably 100 years old. And it was substandard construction at the time. So I just peeled it off, put in a new roof of better construction, modern materials, and better engineering. But the part facing the road, I left sloped so it has a nice presentation to the street. But the part behind the ridgeline, which is in the backyard technically, I made flat. And then the part over my bedroom, I made flat at a slightly different level, a little lower. So now I have two nice flat roofs, and I've sealed them with modern sealing materials, elastomeric paints. They're holding water fine. Maybe there'll turn out to be some leaks, but I'm not too concerned about that. And I'm going to put part of our garden up there. Now, dirt can be heavy, containers can be heavy, so you have to be careful. You don't want all that coming in on top of you. But it's my house, so I'll do what I want to do. And I'm going to put trees up there so they get lots of light. It'll be very pretty. We'll run some irrigation up there so we can drip irrigate things and keep them moist. And ladders, stairs, whatever it takes to get to stairs. Mostly, I don't use ladders. My wife doesn't work well on stairs. I think most people don't actually. Most accidents in the home happen on. I shouldn't say stairs. Most accidents in the home happen on ladders. So I'm not going to be using ladders. I'm going to be using stairs. So I have all these stairs to build to get up onto the roof and walk around up there and do things. So I'm jealous of my surface area. So the house is a waste of soil. So I'm putting the gardening up on the roof. There are places where I have solar panels on the roof. I'm going to move my solar panels, and rather than have them above ground in, again, a structure that is now taken over by the batteries and the charge controllers, I'm going to build a basement under one of my sheds, and I'm going to put all the solar in that little basement. It's too small to be useful for anything, but it's great for holding all of the batteries and the charge controllers and the gigantic inverters and all that stuff. Put it all underground. I'm going to build all that using treated lumber. There's actually a specification for building foundations and basements out of permanent. It's called a permanent wood foundation, PWF. And I've studied it in great detail. I know just what to do. I just have to source the lumber, which is a little hard to do right now because of supply chains. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm going to build these underground. I guess they're called vaults. When PG&E does it, our utility does it, and they have transformers and equipment underground, they call it a vault. So I'm making vaults on my property, and when I'm done, I can still use the surface. So I can put, food, structures, store things, whatever, and then my solar is all underground. So I have a lot of work to do, a lot of digging to do. Digging in. That's why digging in is not really a metaphor in this case. There's an absolute aspect of digging in. I have right here, right outside this window, I have a 1968, can't talk this morning, 1968 Dodge pickup. It's got the big V8 in it, and it's a 1 ton. I think technically it's a 3/4 ton. I've had 2 tons in it. I converted the bed. I bought a kit, and I converted the bed, full-size pickup bed, to a dump. So when I'm doing my digging, if I'm digging in, I load it up in the truck, and it can carry about 2 tons. And the lift kit, the dump kit, will dump 2 tons. So I can get a ton or a ton and a half on that thing and dump it at the landfill. And they take the dirt. So I have a dump truck. So I dig my subsurfaces, I dump it in the truck, I haul it off, and I am completely geared. I am 100% geared for this activity. I'm digging in. And we'll see how that goes, right? So maybe I'll talk about those things. I do have another channel, it's worth repeating, building the Earth Ark. I think Earth Ark is one word. I might fire that up. I might go over there and start having these conversations there, and leave this channel for other types of discussions and just focus on the Earth Ark. I've already got, I think, 1 or 2 videos over there. I was planing some wood. I was recycling some used redwood boards, and I think I had the camera on. I don't have, and I will never have, enough subscriptions or enough videos or airtime or whatever the algorithm requires to get a mobile YouTube account. So I'll never be able to use my phone or something like that. So instead I have to set up these, portable computers with USB cameras like the one I'm using right now, and so it's not as convenient as just coming in here and sitting in front of a camera. But I'll try to do it. I will try to do it, and periodically show progress and some methodology on how I'm doing things. If you want, you can go to that channel, Building the Earth Ark with Cougar W, and I'll probably start using that one to have some of these discussions, and maybe come back to this one for off-topic things. Okay, my topic, my on task is going to be digging in. I'm digging in, and you should be too. I'm digging in, you should be too. We're accumulating food. We have a basement here that I dug out using my '68 Dodge dump truck. We're storing food in our root cellar, and we're ordering food all the time. My wife and I talk about it. What should we get? How much do we already have? How much more can we store? The cisterns, the underground cisterns, were stimulated by the reality that here in California we have a massive drought going on, and if you're going to have a garden and you're going to have fruit trees, then you're going to have a source of water besides what you can get from the state and the city. So, rainwater, as little as we get, didn't take much rainwater to fill up a 50-gallon drum or fill up a cistern. I'm going for about 3,000 gallons in the cistern. I'm going to build the first one, and then there'll be other ones later. My goal is to have 10,000 gallons underground, completely underground, invisible. And if I can keep it topped off with rainwater, that's great. That's wonderful. Earth Ark. It's an Earth Ark. We're going to float away without floating away, unless it floods, in which case I have other sets of problems. We'll see. So that's it. That's all I want to say. I'm done. Like I say, I'm done here. Unless I'm not. But I think for now I am. Done in many senses, I think. I think it's finished. I think this whole industrial civilization thing has exceeded its best by date. And, I could be wrong. It'd be nice if I was, but I don't think I am. So, bye, I guess. Go somewhere else to get your entertainment, or, check me out on Building the Earth Ark and get the flip side of all this. What can one man do to try and carve out a lifeboat for himself and his? And let's talk about that for a while, shall we? Bye.